Hey, Roland Crew, it's Nicole B from Hands and Plan Travel. Welcome to episode 3 of my real life journey to becoming a travel agent titled My First Training as a Travel Advisor. Well, let me just say, I was so excited to get started. I could not wait to jump into training because in my mind, I knew that I'm going to be a travel agent and we're about to do this thing and blow this thing up. Well, so excited to get started. What I thought it was going to be was not exactly what it was. So if you're in any of these Facebook groups, these OA groups and other training groups or what have you, they'll say, "Oh, training was easy. I got it done within a week. I just sat and studied all night and read all night." And I'm like, "Oh, great. I'm thinking I can do the same thing too." So I'm like very excited, like, "All right, I got this. I'm gonna get this training done." Well, it was not what actually happened. So I don't know what these people were doing. I don't know if they were literally, again, staying up 24 hours, 7 days a week to get this training done, but it was a lot of information. And this is just a training just to become part of OA's actual, agency. So becoming a travel agent under them. So you have to go through their training, which again, it's great training. It's a lot of information. But it's not as easy peasy as people are making it seem. And to me, I'm a person who's, very educated, very knowledgeable. I'm like, all right, if they got it done within a week, I know I can get it done within a couple of days. Well, lo and behold, that did not happen. So as I'm sitting here thinking, okay, it's going to be great to be a new travel agent. I know that I have to do this training because it's very important. Because again, as I said, I've been doing this for 20 years without being an actual travel agent. So now it became more serious. It became more like, okay, I got to get this right. I got to get this information. I have to learn how to do this. There is no turning back. There is no, you can kind of, brush it under the rug or more so just like kind of skip through steps to get this done. You really do have to read the information that's in front of you. And that's very evident that some people just are not reading. And this is based upon me being in certain groups and they're asking questions. I'm saying to myself, did you read the training? Did you do the exercises? Did you test stuff out on your own? And it's evident that they didn't. So I know that training is very, very important. And I was like determined to get all that I can get when I was doing the training. So this was the moment for me that everything became real because I'm finding myself being up till 2, 3, 4. And one time I was literally up till 5 o'clock in the morning trying to get this training because I knew that I had a trip that I wanted to plan. And I'm like, I got to get this done. So, um, again, I'm just wondering what people were actually doing as compared to what I was doing. So, when I talk about my first impressions as to what the training actually looked like, it really was a lot of reading, videos, and then quizzes in between. And I, just kept taking them and taking them. And some modules, they're broken down in modules and broken down by the different, MAG LMS, the learning library, CRMs, MPG, MBG. You'll know what all these things mean later on because at first I was like, what is this? So you're going to find that there are a lot of different modules within these trainings. And I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, when will this come to an end? Because now I got like 20 modules to do with inside this training. And it was just a lot. So for me, it was just like, okay, all right. Is again, it was a lot of information. Had to learn some of the travel lingo, like some of the language. Like I didn't know what CRM was, and people kept saying, "I'm like, what the heck is CRM?" So you'll learn what different travel lingo languages, acronyms mean, as you get along in this journey. And I suggest you just take notes. Then you have the supplier portal. So just because you do all the OA training, they send you, your credentials, your every all the information you need to start booking trips, access to their website. It is not over from there. And I knew it, but I didn't know it, if that makes sense. So now on top of doing the OA training, now you have supplier training. So depending on what your specialty is going to be, you want to focus on those suppliers and not just go and do every single thing. So for me, I focused on Virgin Voyages. Number one, I had been on a cruise 3 times. Number two, I knew I was going to book a trip in Virgin Voyages for a group of people that wanted to go, that were my friends, and I'm also attending the same group. So I focused on Virgin Voyages first so I can get that out the way. That was a great training as well. And I will say, even in Virgin Voyages, I was in another webinar and people are asking basic questions that either you did not read the Virgin Voyages training and or you've never been on a Virgin Voyages trip. So it was questions like, what's a bar tab? And I'm thinking to myself, gosh, that was in, was that the violet tier or what have you? It was just amazing to me just how much people just don't really take the information in, and it felt like to me that people just want other people to do the work for them. Which to me, if you became a travel agent, your goal is to figure it out for yourself, and then round back to people and get information and get tips and tricks. But I guess I'm a different type of person. I'm never going to come and say, well, hey, I got a family that wants to do X, Y, and Z. What recommendations do you have? I'm going to do my own research first and then come back and say, hey, I got 3 places. Which one would you guys choose from those 3 places? So anyway, I digress and I'll come back to that later on. But it was definitely a lot of training. Again, like I said, I did Virgin Voyages first. I knew I wanted to plan. When it comes to like their booking systems, you want to learn them, you want to get into them. A lot of people say, oh, I don't use, OA CRM. I buy this one, that one, the third. For me, I'm already paying money to OA. So why would I go ahead and buy something else? Maybe later on when I get to the point where I got 30, 40, 50 clients and I might feel like, okay, always a little overwhelming for me or it's not giving me what I need, then I may want to do another CRM. But for now, why would I do that? I got 20 people booked for something that doesn't make sense to me to go ahead and buy something that's going to cost me monthly and I'm not bringing in the revenue. So as a new agent, I suggest to not go ahead unless you got some discount code that you can use or somebody's giving away something free. I suggest that you utilize the CRM, and the CRM is not that hard. Once you understand how it works, once you read through different forums and things of that nature and get tips and tricks on how to use it, it is easy peasy. And you'll still go back and you might say, let me go back and read this again. Because I've done that. I've gone back and read through some of the trainings again. Like, okay, I know this was taught. I can't find it. I can't figure it out. Let me go back and look at the training. Also Maggie, which is their AI, which is a great tool. You can go in there and ask anything. I literally use it for a lot of things, and I'll discuss that in some episodes going forward. There's the resort training and and other cruise training. So, again, depending on what your niche is, you focus on those. I would even suggest that you not try if you don't have experience on, let's say, the cruise line you want to book with because you want that to be your first one. I would even suggest that you don't even try to book anybody until you finish all your trainings. That includes OA, that includes the suppliers that you want to use, because I've seen people and I've been in these groups and I'm like, you haven't even finished X, Y, and Z, or if you don't know this, that means you're not ready yet. And people try to just get their certification and jump right into it. Give yourself a couple months and make sure you gather all the information and then, slow stroll it. So you got to book one for yourself, slow stroll it. Don't be out there rushing, trying to do a group of 25 and you don't have any idea where the resort is at, where it's at in Mexico, Jamaica, whatever, and you're sitting here asking all these questions online when you really should be doing the work yourself. So this also goes back into becoming a travel agent. You really have to love to do research. You can't just be asking everybody for the answer. Like it reminds me of my children. Like people say, well, what's this? Google it. Like there's so many things you can Google online that you can just get the answer yourself. So take your time. Don't rush to do it if you're not really fully prepared, especially if you have a certain niche that you want to be into. Then take your time, learn all you can learn, because it's going to be never ending training and it's never going to stop. So you definitely don't want to rush into anything without, being ready for it. Um, my personal thoughts are, I just really realized that this just wasn't about booking vacations. It was really about learning the systems, learning the suppliers, learning what to do in this situation, learning how to input information, and it's a lot more education than people really realize. And I think that if you are not one who really wants to take it all in, doesn't want to absorb it, doesn't want to learn, you're going to be stuck like Chuck, to be honest. And I can't, stress on this any further. Slow down, take your time. Don't rush to do things that you're not fully and really prepared for. One of my couple of my biggest challenges, to be honest, was that I thought this was going to be easy. It was a lot of information, and that's probably one of the reasons why I took a lot of notes. I took a OneNote out, and as I was going to the trainings, whether it was MAG, MLS, LMS, and then I might put in whatever the sub training was for that module. I put a page in for that, and I'm in there and I'm taking notes and I'm taking notes and I'm taking notes. And that was easy because, the OA training was very outlined for you. You knew what to go, know where to go, knew what to do. You didn't have to really think too much. It was a checklist inside the system. But then once you finish that, the biggest question is, okay, what do I do next? This goes back to learning the suppliers that you want to book with and taking those trainings seriously. Not, oh, well, let me just scroll through this Virgin Voyage. Let me watch this webinar. That I think the webinar was like 2 hours. Let me watch this 2 hour webinar so I can be, gold status. And then you don't even know anything or retain the information because you didn't take out the time to really know it. And that was, I think, my biggest angst when I was in that webinar because I'm sitting here listening to these questions and I'm like, gosh, you didn't do anything prior to, taking this train. You didn't read anything. Like, did you research Virgin Voyages at all? So that was kind of like my little like, ugh. Um, you know, Once you finish the OA stuff, then you have to say to yourself, how can I, what's my next steps for this? What do I need to capture? So for me, like I said, I did Virgin Voyages. I looked at Marriott. I looked at Hilton. Didn't look into them more in detail, but I will because I need to book some hotels for them. I did Viator. I signed up for them. I signed up for a bunch of suppliers that didn't really require training, but I wanted to get the access. So when I'm ready to jump into the training, it's available because, as you know, you have to submit tickets sometimes for some of these suppliers. Some of them, OA has a direct connection. So you don't have to submit tickets, but it could take a day. And OA was great with the turnaround time, but it could take a day or two. So I wanted to get all those things out the way. I did Pleasant Holidays, Project Expedition, Brightline trains. I use that for my cruises. Viator, however you guys want to say, you want to be French, but whatever. So I took my time to write all these things down and what suppliers I wanted to study from, and I got access to them, and I wrote my passwords down securely so that way I can remember, because you start getting into these different suppliers, you've got 20, 30 different passwords, so you kind of figure out how you're going to work that or what have you. um, so I, kind of did that. And then you want to make sure you remember the different policies or what have you, that are out here with these different suppliers, because everybody's different. Carnival has their thing, Virgin has their thing, Royal Caribbean has their thing. So you want to make sure you understand that. That's why these trainings are so important. And that's why it's so important to take notes, people. Do not sit here and think that you're going to scribble something down on a piece of paper and you're going to remember how to do it. If it's the espresso system, go through the espresso system and look at all the information. Write the steps down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however you need to do it. So that way you can be prepared when the time comes and you're putting something into the system, you can reference back to that. Because that's what I did. I sat there and I was in Mag CRM like, oh, I got to put this in the booking. That's not the booking. That's the confirmation. This is not the confirmation. This is the booking. Got to put your commission and got to put the name of the person, put the cruise. How much information do I want to put in there? Do I want to put the room number? Do I want to put all the information for the clients? Do I want to make tasks? And that's another thing altogether that I learned later on how to do those things. But again, that's what the training is for. So you want to make sure you get all that. Another thing is that whether you follow people on YouTube, on Facebook, you're in these different forums, you don't want to compare yourself to other experienced travel advisors, because you may have your own experiences. Like I said, I've been doing this for 20 years outside of being a true travel agent, just with the trips that I have. But there's things that, other travel agents know because they've been doing it so often. They've been doing repeatedly over and over, how to book in certain ways, what certain policies are. Don't worry, you'll become an expert soon. And as I said, if I didn't say before, I got my credentials, I think, in April, end of April. So I haven't been doing it long. So I'm in the same boat. If you're new, I'm in the same boat with you. But don't compare yourself to other experienced advisors. They know a little bit more. They'll be able to answer questions, certain questions when you put them into the form. But some questions people might be like, what? Are you really asking this? That was OA training 101. And, what have you? How did you know that? The other thing you want to make sure that you do, when you're really starting out this training, is you want to make sure that you balance your training and your everyday life. As I mentioned to you before, I was up till 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, literally trying to get these trainings done, trying to say to myself, nope, I'm going to do all 25 segments of this module because I want to get it done. So you have to balance yourself. So I decided, even now when I do my trainings, I'm still, again, it's only 3 months in, 2.5, 3 months in. I'm still training on different things. I'm still learning on different platforms. I'm still reading, how to do things inside OA CRM, how to do invoices, all those things. I'm still reading and still learning, and I'm still finding myself up till the 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning some days. But what I decided to do was, I said every Wednesday, I'm not doing anything on Wednesday. Other thing I don't do is I don't do stuff on the weekends unless I'm just maybe a Sunday or something. But I try to keep my weekends free so I can hang out with friends and whatever, and my kids and my boyfriend and whatnot. So I try to have that balance. Normally, after I finish my primary job, I have nothing but time on my hands. So I'll spend time doing a couple hours of training. I probably need to say, okay, just do training from 6 to 9 and that's it. But that never happens. I'm usually training from 6 to 12. So I, again, need to kind of balance that out a little bit better, but I'm getting to it. You're going to encounter periods of being overwhelmed, literally. And you're going to ask yourself, oh my God, can I really do this? Is this really possible? Can I retain all this information? And I will tell you that even though, as I said, I've been experienced doing putting full trips together with itineraries and making reservations and planning out things that even I felt overwhelmed. And my friends would be like, no, not you. You do this like it's nothing. You do it like it's a walk in the park. No, even when I do it for them prior to being a travel agent, sometimes I do get overwhelmed. Sometimes I do get like, oh my God, is this going to come out right? And I'm like, all right, all right, all right. You can do it. You got this. So when you have those moments that make you feel so overwhelmed and you're questioning, can you really do this? Those are the moments that make your journey authentic. Those are the moments that you know that this is not going to be a walk in the park, that the payoff in the end is going to be worth it if you just take your time. Do not try to rush the process. Do not try to skip the process. Do not try to skip the trainings, because what's going to happen is you're going to have clients that are going to be pissed at you because you didn't know certain things, and certain things you should know as a travel agent, certain basic things you should know. There's other things that you may be like, you know what, I'm not quite sure about that. Let me ask someone. Let me reach out. OA has a great mentorship program. I mean, they'll give you the telephone number to call them if you want. I haven't reached out to my mentor since our first meeting because, again, I'm more of a self learner. I really want to discover and figure it out for myself, which is sometimes my downfall too, because I'll sit there and try to figure stuff out. In reality, it really is like, oh, if you'd have just clicked this link right here, you would have seen how to do blah, 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 blah. Um, but again, everybody learns differently. But I would say if you are one that has to constantly ask questions, hey, this may not be the job for you. I'm just going to put it out there because being a travel agent is constant education, it's constant research. If you feel like if you want to rely on everyone else to give you the answer, then this might not be for you. I'm just going to be honest. So you have to have that desire to research, you have to have the desire to learn, to show people, to provide a great service to them, because if you don't, your clients will notice it. They will see it. It's not just about, oh, it's an issue happened and you're going to emergency happened and, oh, I fixed this one emergency, but could that emergency have been avoided if you'd have done things differently as a TA? Were there other steps that you could have taken to make sure this, was preventable? Was there information you could have given them to make sure that they didn't run into this situation, this encounter? Just think about what it is that you really, why you got into this business. It should not just be because, oh, I'm retired and I just want to be a travel agent. I'm just going to tell you, in my early profession, I'm in healthcare compliance right now, but back in the day, I was a medical record coder. And I cannot tell you the number of people that say, oh, I want to be a coder because I want to work from home. That was the big thing. And I used to tell folks, this is not an easy job. It's a lot of education. It's a lot of, memorizing. It's a lot of medical terminology, anatomy, physiology, biology. It's a lot to it. It is not just about, oh, I just want to work from home and sit behind a keyboard all day. People really thought that's what they were just going to do. And when they went through these certification classes for, medical coding and billing, they were shocked, like, oh my God, I can't find a job, because it wasn't that easy. They thought it was going to be a walk in the park. So the same thing goes with being a travel agent. If you think it's going to be easy, it's not going to be easy, but it does not have to be hard. It can be smooth sailing if you're knowledgeable, if you arm yourself with a plethora of information, if you have it handy and ready, to give to your clients, if you continually choose to learn, different suppliers and things of that nature, it won't be hard. But in the beginning, it will feel overwhelming. It will feel difficult. It will feel like I want to quit. I'm gonna cancel my membership. All those things are going to come into play. And at that point, you got to take a breath, take a step back, write down your plan, and then go from there and say, you know what? This is how I'm going to handle it. This is how I'm going to tackle it. So stay tuned for part 2 of episode 3 when I break down the advice I have for these new TAs, the thoughts on my host agency, more of my struggles, and more information to come. So, thank you again for joining Nicole B from Hands and Plan Travel. Until we roll to our next adventure or our next YouTube video, y'all all stay safe.